Hey there, welcome to Basic AF. This is episode 72. Show notes can be found for this episode at basicafshow.com/72. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Tom Anderson. Jeff Battersby is not here today, and technically, I guess, neither am I. This is going to be a replay episode. We're taking the week off, but we still have a great show for you. We're going into the Basic AF Vault back to February 2024 to our tips and tricks show with Gannon Nordberg. As you may recall, Gannon was on last episode along with Chris Freitag, detailing their experiences with the new iPhone Air, which is an excellent episode, by the way. And if you're still on the fence about picking up an iPhone Air or not, highly recommend you check out that episode. So, without further ado, let's get into our replay. It's a really great episode. We've got more than a dozen tips and tricks covering macOS, iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, and more. We'll talk about things like watch face automations, managing listening history in Apple Music, a bunch of photo editing tips, smart stacks, and a bunch more. Enjoy. My mom hates it because I send her stickers of herself. Man, she chews my ass out about that.
I don't want to know about your imperfections, dude. Prefer to leave you on a pedestal so I'll improve.
Hello, and welcome back to Basic AF, a mostly tech podcast. I'm Tom Anderson, joined as always by my co-host Jeff Battersby. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Tom. I didn't interrupt you that time. It's amazing. Our 29th episode, and finally I've made it through the introductions without cutting you off.
Well, baby steps. Early. It's episode 29. We've got hundreds more to go.
Yeah, we do.
All right. And we do have, once again, we want to welcome back Gannon Nordberg. Gannon, welcome back to the show. Consecutive appearances.
Hey, fellas. Good to be back. I appreciate being asked to come back for the tips and tricks. I had a lot of fun putting together some for the last tips and tricks about a year ago, and I think we've got a good lineup of new things to share.
Yeah, thanks. We do appreciate you coming back. You know, we had you on last episode, which was originally going to be the tips and tricks recording, but we went with Apple Vision Pro discussion on that one. Jeff went over to the mall and did a hands-on demo, so we wanted to dig into that since he had some hands-on time with it. The only one of us that did, so that was nice to dig in. So if you haven't listened to that show yet, go back and listen to that.
100%.
And had some good info in that. So,
and I will say, because Gannon was at that, he was the only one that had to listen to the whole show from beginning to end.
Yeah.
What a privilege.
Thank you, Gannon. All right, so tips and tricks. What we want to do in this episode is we have put together a list of some things maybe you know about, probably some things you don't know about that might enhance your usage of your Apple tech. And so we're going to cover macOS, iOS, iPadOS, Apple Watch, and maybe a couple of other little kind of peripheral things. So, Gannon, as our guest, would you like to start us off?
Yes, sir. So the first one I have to share is using profiles in Safari. And so starting with Safari 17 that comes with Sonoma, you can set up different browsing profiles with different bookmarks and a history, tab groups, and other website data. Google Chrome has had this for a while, but this is a new addition for Safari. And the thought is that you can set up a profile for maybe home and personal things, work things, school things, and kind of have those areas of your life segregated and separate so that you've got maybe different areas of responsibility and your browsing experience can be shaped differently based on that profile or that context. Have you guys been using that at all yet?
I have not. Tom?
I have not.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you set this up, Gannon, if you could.
So it's inside settings of Safari, and there's a place where you can basically create a new profile and give it a name. And they make it easy to switch back and forth between the profiles. There's just a little menu in the top of the toolbar there of Safari. And these tab groups do translate over to iOS and iPadOS. So if you're, because of the magic of iCloud, all those things sync across your various Apple devices. And I use this a bunch for Chrome, and it's just nice to have another option with Safari.
I just turned it on. And pretty slick because it gives you a different visual view as well in the background, which is pretty slick. I like that. Let me ask you this: does this sync across all my devices? Do I have profiles only in Safari on my Mac, or can I? So, for example, I have right now I'm on the Mac Mini downstairs. Since I turned that on, will it be on my my MacBook Pro upstairs?
If it's signed into the same Apple ID, then yeah, it should sync between devices.
Wow. Okay. Like that.
Yep.
That very much. I'm gonna give that a run. Yeah, pretty easy to set up. You have the option I could see of either choosing to create a completely new set of bookmarks for that profile, or keep your existing. It gives you the ability to have some color backgrounds. You can have extensions that are added individually for each profile. So if you're using, I don't know, Wordly or something like that on one profile, you don't have to have it on the other profile if you don't want to. So I like that. Very very slick. I'm gonna have to give that some play.
And those do tie into focus filters. So if you're using that feature across your devices, so you can go in and when you set up your focus modes, you can add apps or people that you want to talk to and or not hear from during that particular focus mode, and you can set a filter to set a specific profile. So if you've got a work focus mode, you can add your work Safari profile to that, and 8:30 each day, maybe it switches over to that, and then you've got all your work related things there. 5 o'clock, it cuts off so you don't see your work stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Very cool. Thank you.
Yep. What's up next?
All right. So, kind of along the same lines, in the most recent, I think it's the most recent or the one before, iOS update, talking about focus modes and filters. Gannon, you have kids. Jeff, you have adult children, so it may not apply quite as much. Gannon's kids are little, so I know this will probably apply to him. You're in a car, you're on a road trip, the kids are getting fidgety, they need something to distract them. Can we play some music? They take your phone, your Apple Music gets Bluey's greatest hits, and and then next thing you know, your recommended is full of kid stuff. So they have added the ability to ignore Apple Music listening history through a focus filter. And you can do a shortcut with this as well. So you can tie that into a shortcut so that if you are going on an extended road trip or just giving your kids something to do with your phone and they're listening to some music and you don't want all of that stuff to show up, or sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's nice if you're just exploring some new music. Like there might be a day where I put on like a long, lo-fi playlist or something because I just want something in the background. I don't really want it to start showing up in all of my recommendations necessarily. And so this is just a nice, easy way to turn that off. So we'll put a link in the show notes pretty much for all of these. But Apple's got an article on how to set that up. But it's pretty simple. It's just a little checkbox, basically, that you add to a shortcut. I don't think, and I checked it, and I didn't see that you could configure that on Mac. It looked like it was only on like an iPad or iOS device that you have to set it up.
I forgot this was even a thing. So as soon as I saw this in the notes, I'm like, oh, wow, that would actually be really helpful for me.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Mm-hmm. Another little piece tied to that, Tom, is, and I was saying that I wasn't going to add any tips or tricks, but here I am.
I knew you would.
I know, because I'm a liar. I was going to say, the only tip I have is brandy wine in the fifth. That would be a racing joke that I don't even go to horse racing. Anyway, bad joke because neither of you laughed. So the other feature that's part of CarPlay that's similar to this is you can have devices join CarPlay. They actually have a
that's new too, right? Last
QR code
major release.
Correct. And so you can have people in the car scan the QR code, jump on, and be able to add music to what's playing. None of that shows up, as far as I know, in your list of played
Praise
music.
be.
So praise be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now we're on to the.
No, that's good. I've forgotten about that too.
Yeah, it's great. See, I have a tip.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tip and a trick. Dang it! All right, onward.
All right, Gannon, you want to go again?
Yeah, so this one is more for the iPad, but obviously the iPhones are the devices with those incredible built-in cameras. But for editing photos, I like to use my iPad. It's just something about the big bright display that's just a nice way to edit the photos. And the built-in Photos app has some interesting new updates to edit not all photos in general, but really specifically portrait photos. So just like the iPhone, you can change the portrait lighting effects. So they've got like the natural light and studio light, contour lighting, stage lighting. They've got 5 or 6 of those. But in addition to adjusting the lighting effect, you can also adjust the amount of depth in the portrait photos. And it's easy. You just drag it with a slider with your finger. And I think this is useful because sometimes I think the iPhone processes those portrait photos with a little too much depth by default. And so just having the ability to tune it to my taste is a nice touch.
Yeah, I like what you say about editing photos on the iPad. I do the same thing. I typically use one of the couple of Pixelmator products that are out now. Pixelmator has some great apps for being able to edit images, and I'm the same. The iPhone is good in a pinch to be able to edit stuff, but I much prefer the iPad screen, and I like it better than using my Mac as well. So, like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys adjust? Do you use any of the portrait lighting effects, or are they kind of gimmicky for you?
A lot of times, and maybe this is because my head is bald, it doesn't do a good job of blending the shininess of my dome with the background behind me. So I get a lot of I've tried to use it for a variety of things, like taking quick headshots of actors when we needed to, and it tends to do more than I want it to do. So I have not used those much, but nice feature for sure.
So I will piggyback on top of photo editing with another tip. On iPhone or iPad, if you have a photo up and you tap the edit button and you go into your editing mode, of course, along the bottom there, you've got adjust, filters, and crop. So if you tap crop, you can manually adjust the size of the image. They've got some perspectives that you can adjust as well. But once you've selected crop, if you just tap on crop again, it will take you into some presets that you can do. So you can have it crop automatically to a square. You can have it automatically crop to a wallpaper. So if you wanted to use it as a wallpaper on your phone, you can adjust if it's vertical or horizontal. Simple little thing, but sometimes you are just trying to get a nice square crop of the photo that's even. And so Apple has this tendency to hide things, and they don't really make them super easy to discover sometimes. And full credit, I saw this on Threads. I'll link out to it just to give the person who posted it credit for it. And I was like, oh, had no idea that was there. So that's another simple little thing that's kind of hidden, but I thought it was a nice little tip for some quick photo transformations, and at least on the size for the crops. Yeah, and added to that, one of the other features that's available is if you tap and hold on, say, a person or your cat or your dog or whatever it is, it will also outline that, and you can copy that unique object, whatever it is that you've selected, and pull that out. I know a lot of the the ads for the latest, one of the latest Google phones, it wasn't, I think it might be a Samsung, is, the ability to circle something and then search for it. This is not quite that, but it does allow you to essentially crop out all the junk that's around something in a picture, and you can then save that. So yeah, it works pretty well. It works amazingly well. Yeah, really, and you can save those as stickers. Yes, you can. My mom hates it because I send her stickers of herself. She chews my ass out about that. That's great. Do you make the shiny ones, Tom? Is she sparkly? I've done that with one of the dogs. So she liked that one. But I did that with my cat. Yeah. So, all right. Onward, Gannon.
So the next one is in Messages. So this applies to iPadOS and iOS. But it's you can search. So Messages is probably my most used app on my iPhone, and I imagine it's the same for a lot of people too. And it's got some nice updates, once again, with iOS 17. And like I mentioned, you have the ability to search for something inside Messages. So after you open up the Messages app, there's a search field above the conversation list at the top. You may need to kind of swipe down to reveal it if it's not visible there. But that's where you can either type in a phrase or a word and it'll show the search results down below. And you can search not only across all of your message conversations, but if you want to narrow it down to a specific person, you can type their name first in the search field and then your search word or phrase. I've done this a bunch, like when I'm planning something or talking with friends or relatives about something that we talked about, weeks ago or something like that. And I can't really remember, like, was it this person or was it, where's that link to that thing that was shared? And I've used that a bunch. So have you guys tried that yet?
Yeah, same. Love it. Great feature.
Yep, really good.
And I didn't know that you could type a name first and then have the whatever the other search subject or option was. I typically search for strings of text where I knew I had a conversation, but that's a nice add to that. But it is a great feature. I use it regularly. It's almost an everyday feature for me.
What's your preference for Messages retention? I know there's a couple different settings. You can have it delete automatically after 30 days. You can have it keep it forever or even maybe 1 year. Is that the other setting? What do you guys land on for that?
Forever.
Forever. let me check. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, forever for me. I will go through sometimes and clean up, videos that are 20 years old. But mostly it's forever.
I only have mine set to 30 days. I guess I just don't care about people more than 30 days.
Wow. Gannon throwing us both under the bus.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure you guys do too, but you guys do Messages in iCloud, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that if you're listening and you don't have that turned on or not aware of what that is, it basically stores your messages in iCloud so that they sync on all your devices. So if you get a new phone, you don't have to worry about, I lost all of my messages. Because back in the day, that was a thing and people didn't like that too much. So yeah, turn that on if you don't have that on. Now, I will say, the flip side of that is, in keeping the messages forever, I was just checking in iCloud. My messages are using 62 gigs of storage. Which is fine. And we've got the 2 terabyte family plan. I've got plenty left. But that is one of the things that comes along with that, especially, because, a lot of times it's videos of the kids or whatever we're, passing around from parties and things like that where, we're kind of dumb and we could just do a shared photo library. But why go through all that? I can just send it right here. So that's the other thing that comes along with that. But that's I think Messages in the cloud is a good way to go. It'd be great if Apple would give people more than 5 gigs of space to start with. But, hey, services was about the only thing that was up on the last earnings report other than iPhone. So that explains it.
Yep. There you go. You want more? Buy it.
That's it. All right. That was a good one. Next, I will go with a tip for the Notes app, since we are using Notes for the show notes. This is how I came across that. So we've talked on this show multiple times about the different note-taking apps that we use. I'm pretty, in with Bear Notes at this point.
Now we can share this episode with Bear again and say that we mentioned
exactly. And but one of the drawbacks with Bear is that it does not have note sharing, and so you just can't do it. And so we use Notes for the show notes here. But something that I don't really like about Notes is the default color scheme. And so as we were putting this together, I was thinking, God, all these links and everything, and it really stood out that I didn't like the color. But you can change the color that's used in Notes. So if you don't like it being that orange. I guess that's what that is. It's orange, yellow, whatever. You can change the color. So if you want to do that, it's kind of stupid though, the way it works, but I'll tell you how it works. You go into settings or system preferences and you go to appearance and you change the appearance settings there.
Oh, interesting.
That's not where I would have looked.
Nope.
Never. No. And so what you do is you go into the appearance settings, and in there you have your accent color and your highlight color. And so by default, it's multicolor for accent color, and highlight color is accent color, which makes no sense, but that's what it is.
Right.
And so you can just change the color in there. So if you want it to be blue, that will turn your links and notes to blue, your highlights, to blue, that kind of stuff. Really weird place for it seems, because maybe I don't want to change it everywhere else. I just want to change it inside of notes. Yeah,
that's interesting. And I don't know that I would do it then.
Right.
If it doesn't drive me nuts, the links. But yeah, that's weird that's a system setting, to be sure. But and funny enough, that's not a thing. Like back in the old System 9 days, System 8, I would change accent colors for giggles because it was a thing that you could do. I can tell you that they could hide that completely and I wouldn't think twice about it.
Right. Yeah, remember they used to have those themes you could apply too. Like if you wanted to change the whole, still had the menu bar across the top and everything, but it seemed way more fun back then.
I still have fun with it, guys. Jeez, you guys are a bunch of old grumpy guys.
It goes without saying. Right?
Guilty.
Grandpa!
I mix it up every now and then. I'll pick purple and blue and orange just for something different.
Yeah, I can see that, but I do wish, I like the whimsical stuff, but I just don't think to do it because there's not much else you can do other than that.
Right.
But back in those days with all of the theming and things you could do, and even back then, I'd look at it and be, oh, that's kind of cool, and then I'd turn it off because it's it's annoying after a while. But anyhow, enough history lesson for
enough showing how old we are and how young Gannon is.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to carry the show, so it's Gannon today.
Yeah.
And speaking of, what do you have next for us?
All right, so this is something on the Apple Watch. So the Apple Watch has an ambient light sensor, one of the many sensors on the Apple Watch. And one of the new things that sensor can do is estimate how much time you've spent outside in daylight each day. I know for myself in the colder months here in Virginia, I definitely don't get outside as much as I'd like because I'm a wimp to the cold, and I really I just like the ability to look in Apple Health, the Health app, and see how that's is trending, whether it's more daylight, less daylight. If it's lower than I'd like, then that'll sometimes motivate me to bundle up and go for a walk or just find an excuse to get out a little bit. So the way that you can see that is you open up the Health app on the iPhone, you tap a browse in the bottom right, and then you can choose other data. And from there, you'll see time in daylight. This is an optional setting that you can turn off in your watch settings as well. But this is just another example. It's these little health and quality of life improvements that Apple includes in software releases that don't get a lot of praise or press coverage, but I think are still noteworthy and really adding value to the device itself and how it's kind of looking out for your overall well-being.
Like that. And I've seen that. I've paid attention to that. And typically, maybe because in the wintertime, I'm covering up my watch. I've got sweatshirts on and long sleeve shirts, so that might be an issue. But I really like that feature. It's a nice one.
So, Gannon, what do your numbers look like for this week?
Oh, I need to look. Probably not much. I know it was a little windy, but...
Yeah, I was looking at mine, and so mine daily average from August 6th to February 3rd was 35.6 minutes.
In sunlight?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
I can't...
Bulk of that was September, October, because I think this came out with the new versions of watchOS. And so there was up to 75 minutes, 60 minutes, because it was still nice out. And then once the time change occurred and we were heavy into fall, and it hasn't went above 25 minutes since just before Thanksgiving, it looks like.
Mine's about 27 this week. Now, I also work at home, so some days I literally don't leave the house.
Yeah, see, this week's mine's only 20.6.
And I can't look at mine because I'm using my phone as a camera. I don't have an iPad down here, and the health app isn't on your Mac.
Thanks, Apple.
I'd love to have the health app on my Mac for sure.
Yes.
All right, Tom.
All right. So let's stick with the Apple Watch for a couple minutes. And I want to talk about personal automations. And I know it sounds nerdy, but just hang with me. This one isn't too bad.
Beats the heck out of impersonal
Well, true.
automations.
So with the Shortcuts app, which I know intimidates a lot of people, I'm going to talk about that as one of my last tips here in a few minutes. But anyhow, one of the things that you can do with the personal automations is you can set it up to display certain watch faces based on certain triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have that happen as you approach a location. And I think we talked about this back in the first Tips and Tricks show where I was talking about how I used, location awareness and everything. That when I would go to the gym, it would detect it was there. It would switch to what the watch face I had set up for workouts and open up, Craft app, which I was using to track my workouts at that point, and a couple other things. And then when I would leave, it would set the watch face back to something else. So something I've started to do of late, I have set up, because I've talked before about how I like to use the watch as for dashboards. It's for certain things. And so I've got a kind of daily watch face that I use. But I've really taken to the app Athletic, which is it's kind of like a performance monitoring app. So like the Aura ring that you would wear, and it would show you, it would kind of track your stats, respiratory and recovery and all that. And Garmin does that too. This is kind of like an extension of the Apple Health app, where it adds some different metrics and things that you could track. And the developers put a lot of updates out of late and added some things. And so what I did is I made a new watch face that's a dashboard for that stuff. So it shows like stress level and recovery, respiratory stats and things like that. And so I've now got that set up to switch to that face each morning at 6:15. And so that face just automatically shows up because that's usually when I check that stuff, is not long after I get out of bed. I leave that face on for a couple of hours just in case it's the weekend. I'm not up quite as early, but then at 8:30, I have another automation that runs that puts it back to my primary watch face, which we've talked about before. So it switches to that one. And then after work, right about 5:15, it switches to yet another watch face. These are very simple to set up, a couple of taps. And so we will put a link into the show notes. So, maybe you've got, a watch face you like to use a watch because it shows your calendar or what's coming up, on your task list or whatever the case may be. Come the end of the day, you don't want to see any of that stuff. You could use a personal automation, based on arriving at home or leaving work, but you can also put it on a schedule if you want to just do it at a specific time. Pretty handy and really simple to do.
Yeah, I use that for a theater watch face. So currently stage managing a show that actually opens a week from yesterday. Come on up to Wappingers Falls, New York, and come see a great play. But I have a watch face that comes on that has a couple of timers on it. So when we have breaks, I can just tap the timer and do it that way. It displays the information that I need just for the theater. It disappears as soon as I leave the theater. So that's great.
Nice. Gannon, you do any of that?
Yeah, I've got a couple focus modes for like exercise and kind of winding down, getting into bedtime routine and work. And I like keeping the watch face mostly the same in terms of complications and little widgets, but I do like different colors so that it kind of synchronizes with the color wallpaper and stuff that I have on my phone. And it just kind of helps me shift that mindset. Like, okay, blue is work mode, green is, personal time, and a few others.
All right, very nice. Yeah, I like it. All right, next.
Well, I do have another Apple Watch one. I know this is maybe a little Apple Watch heavy, but I have the Apple Watch Ultra, and I like using the modular Ultra face. I want as many complications as I can fit on there. But I also like the ability to use the Smart Stack to add additional widgets that are kind of easily accessible. So the Smart Stack is just a set of widgets that will have the time and your location and even some other customizable widgets that you can add there. I think by default it has music, workouts, and messages. And so the way you access the Smart Stack is from your watch face. You can scroll the digital crown, and then it'll put you in that I don't know what view that is. I guess it's the stack.
The Smart Stack view.
The Smart Stack view. There you go. And I've customized that to put some additional things that I want there, a couple set of timers, and I've got, Pedometer Plus Plus and Fantastical and my reminders, just so that I don't have to go hunting for those apps in the list of apps on the Apple Watch, but it's just further bringing that information that's important to me without having to necessarily have all those pieces as a complication on my watch face. Have you guys customized that much?
I haven't customized it. Yeah. But I use it. It's definitely a feature that I use. I didn't even ever think about customizing it. So that's something I can look at and see about. It's a nice feature. I like it. And should note that you can scroll both ways when you do that. So you can either scroll up or down to get to it.
There you go.
Which is nice.
That's good.
All right, Tommy, what's next?
I'm just watching you look at your watch.
Well, that's really exciting because nobody else can see it but you and Gannon. So
okay.
maybe if this was a live video show,
that might
it'd be worth.
Okay, let's see. We got maybe 5 minutes left, so I'm going to go quick on this one. Stage Manager. We've talked about before, and so that's a feature on macOS, iPadOS that you can turn on, and it kind of clusters your apps over on the left-hand side in groups, or arranges them in groups that they call stages. I think you can have up to 4 per stage, at least on iPadOS. I don't know if there's a limit on macOS because I don't use it there. I don't use it a ton on iPadOS. Even though it's gotten better, it's still a little limited. But one thing I did figure out that did help, because sometimes you might have a stage up and maybe you've got the Notes app up front on that one, and you've got messages off to the left in a separate stage, and maybe Safari's in a separate stage with something else, but you want to take a note from what's in Safari, and you'd like to be able to see it. But if you click the stage, it's just going to swap them out. And so Safari is going to come in and Notes is going to go over to the left. So what you can do is if you command click on an app that's off into a stage on the side, it will add it to the existing stage so that you can kind of repair things. Simple, just command click, and it would take an app from another stage, drop it into your current stage.
That is slick.
Yeah, nice.
Right. Next.
Gannon.
So the last one that I have is a third-party app. Is that all right to dig into something not native to
yes.
Apple's operating system? There you go.
We'll let you do that.
Well, here it comes. So I use a third-party app called Hazel, Hazel. It's an automation tool that will watch certain folders that you specify and do things to the contents of those folders. And so I use it. One of the rules that I have set up is to help me clean up the screenshots that I take on my Mac. So when you're taking a screenshot on the Mac, the default location where it puts those screenshots is to the desktop. And I take a fair amount of screenshots in a given week for various things, various reasons. And what I don't want to have happen is to see my desktop cluttered with screenshots from the last couple of months. Now, you wouldn't know anything about that, right, Tom?
I know all about that.
So the way this works is I set up a new rule that says I want you to watch the contents of my desktop, and if it detects a PNG file, which is the default format for a screenshot, and if that PNG has the word screenshot in the name, then I want you to automatically move it to a folder that I've set up in my documents folder or wherever you specify. And then I create that shortcut as a Finder sidebar item that just points to that folder directly. It's kind of like a shortcut. And then I can quickly jump to it and see all the screenshots that I've taken. They're automatically sorted by date. And it's great because I don't have screenshots on the desktop, but I know exactly where to find them. And it's just helping me keep organized. And I do have a couple other Hazel rules that I've set up to automatically file away PDFs and receipts and things like that just run automatically in the background. So if you haven't looked at Hazel for Mac automation, check it out. It's pretty great.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a great app.
Alrighty.
Used that back in consulting days to move various files to different places and the weird things you had to do.
Mm-hmm. Love it. So we've burned another 35 minutes of your time.
That's good. You didn't say hour.
I didn't say hour.
You've been reprogrammed. Good.
Barely. A little late for that. Gannon, I just want to let you know that I have just signed up for your newsletter at level1, O-N-E, nerd.net. Want to recommend that everybody does that. Gannon's going to kick out a lovely regular email to you every 2 weeks, giving you information. In fact, I think I just got my first newsletter.
Boy.
Fast. How did you do that while you were sitting here talking to us?
You'll never know.
So want to recommend that you sign up for Gannon's newsletter. Gannon's brilliant, as you can see, much smarter than either Tom or I are, and younger too. So he'll be around longer to give you good information.
I hope so.
As always, you can get to us at feedback@basicafshow.com. Show music by Psychokinetics and the amazing Celsius 7. Go check them out on Apple Music. And like I said in the last episode, we may have a playlist coming out of geeky music from a bunch of old guys.
Oh, yeah, that was a tip we didn't get into.
Yeah, that's all right. We can. There's plenty of
on Apple Music playlist. Go look it up.
Yeah. We'll talk about that, and actually maybe that'll be a reason to in the next episode to share that playlist. We could put one out there. And finally, our show artwork by Randall Martin Design. So highly recommend that you check that out. Tom, anything else before we kiss the world goodbye for?
I do believe that is it. Gannon, thanks again. Appreciate it, my friend.
Yes, thank you guys. It was blessed.
Jeff,
thanks
thank
for
you. Good to hang out as always.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And Gannon, thanks for coming in twice.
Absolutely.
That is going to do it for this eepisode. We do hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your night.
See ya.